Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's your boy Regis. This is Helldivers 2. We are here for the major update. Firstly, 50,000 players on right now, which is a major improvement. Normally when I'm on, there's between 10 and 20,000 maximum. Most days it's like 7 since the nerfs and whatever else has been going on in the background. But today, because of the big update, a lot of people are giving this another go. They're going to change. They're changing a bunch of stuff. They're continuing to change a bunch of stuff. So the first part I want to go on to before we get into the update properly is Helldivers themselves will be less vulnerable to headshots, but take more damage to other body parts. This is supposed to bring more consistency to players suffering damage and reduce ragdolling while keeping it difficulty. The reason I'm starting off with that is one, it's good. I get killed a lot with headshots before I even know what's shot at me. It's pretty cool that they've sorted that. But more importantly, they've said that the game might feel a little easy right now compared to what it should be. So this is just one of many reasons why that could be. So don't worry, they're monitoring the situation. They'll get on and adjust it accordingly. Hopefully they don't nerf anything again and they just make enemies stronger to counter how easy it may or may not be. So, on to balancing. The first of the very long updates. There's weapon updates, there's general updates, and then there's enemy updates, which will be at the end of this. So balancing. General. Previously, partial damage dealt 50% of full damage, which we found to be overly punishing and reduced effectiveness too much. That is absolutely true. Leading to excessive reliance on high armor penetration weapons. We've now increased partial damage to 65% of full damage to address this issue. They will absolutely reduce that value back down, probably to about 55%, I think. This is really good. Forcing people into, like, corralling them into a certain play style, a certain way of using weapons and certain weapon styles, it makes a lot of weapons useless. So this kind of helps to address some of that. The Helldiver now takes less damage from headshots, which previously dealt 100% extra damage, but now only inflicts 50% extra damage. So instead of one shot, you might get 2 shots. If you're lucky, they might still one-shot you on occasion, though. Damage from hits from other body parts have been slightly increased depending on the area hit. This adjustment aims to normalize overhaul damage while maintaining detail damage zones, reducing spike damage. In other words, they're wanting to make the damage a lot more consistent, because one of my biggest peeves, and I've mentioned it in other videos, other Helldiver videos, is inconsistent damage. It is absolutely horrendous sometimes. You're running around. In some matches, you can take 4 rockets to the face and you'll be before dying, or you'll be fine. And then other times you take 1 to the face and you're just dead. It just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that's the general balancing right there. Now we'll get on to primary weapons. The Liberator and Liberator Carbine. Damage is increased from 60 to 70. That's not bad. That's not bad. Durable damage increase from 14 to 17. Pretty good. Staggering force increase from 10 to 15. I never really considered it a staggering weapon, so that was a bit surprising, but nice. It's a very nice one. Extra spare magazines increased from 7 to 8. Okay, that's pretty good. More ammo. Starting spare magazines increased from 5 to 6. So yeah, you still have to pick up some ammo, but you'll start off with around about half your ammo with that one. So it's pretty good, pretty good. It's a less used weapon. It should make it far more useful now. The Knight, damage increased from 50 to 65. Durable damage increase from 5 to 7. Magazines now fully refill when picking up resupply, which that has always been an issue with that weapon and other weapons. And reduced recoil. Yeah, it's got an unbelievable amount of recoil on that. Liberator Concussive now comes with a drum magazine, which holds 60 rounds. Ooh, so they've changed up the magazine on that. That's nice. I do like that. The Liberator Concussive is kind of like a Tommy gun, that kind of style. So that just adds to that theme. Number of magazines reduced from 10 to 6. The number of magazines have been reduced due to larger magazine capacity. Yeah, that makes sense. You get more ammo per magazine, so they're obviously going to give you less magazines because you don't need as many magazines. Plus, you want it to be a little bit balanced. The Tenderizer, number of rounds in its magazine increased from 30 to 35, which is nice. Starting magazines go from 4 to 5, so they now get 5 instead of 4. So that's pretty good. The Breaker also gets extended magazine, which holds 16 rounds. Staggering force increased from 10 to 15. I think that might be a running theme in this one. That's nice. It's nice to see the original Breaker is getting some love. Spray and Pray now has duckbill muzzle, making it spread very horizontal but less vertical. Total damage increase from 192 to 4 to 4. I wish from 192 to 240. So it will have a wider spread, but the spread won't be up or down. It'll be more towards your enemy than everywhere. So the Scythe cooldown is faster, which is nice. Adjustment to the heat is also been made. Visual effects have been adjusted on that one. Scope change to low-powered scope, so it's got less zoom on it. Removed recoil, which makes sense. It's an energy weapon. They shouldn't have recoil. It doesn't make any sense. Sets enemies on fire faster. That has always been my issue with the Scythe. I love the Scythe. I think everyone does. But it takes forever to set anything on fire. Or it's very random when it sets them on fire. For your crossbow lovers, you'll like this. The explosion radius has been increased by 50%, which is fine. I always thought the explosion on it was a little small. Explosion damage increased from 150 to 350. That was my other issue, is that it seemed very low powered for what it was. So that is nice. And okay, a lot of this I'm reading for the first time on these notes. So my favorite weapon just now, the Eruptor, Shrapnel, is back. We've heard your feedback and reintroduced the Shrapnel. We have replaced the original Shrapnel with the Frag Grenade Shrapnel to no longer instantly one-shot Helldivers, with the exception of the occasional unlucky headshot. So basically, if your allies are in the blast area of the explosion, because it kills any enemies around the explosion, because it's essentially a long-range grenade launcher, essentially. Your allies shouldn't die with the first hit. They'll probably die with the second hit, unless you crack them in the head. Then they're going to die immediately. Shrapnel projectiles amount is set to 30, so you get 30 bits of metal flying out of them. That's nice. Shrapnel damage set to 110. That is very good. So that's 30 shards coming off, each one with 110 damage. Very nice. Explosion damage decrease from 340 to 225. That's because you're getting the shrapnel back, and the shrapnel has its own damage. So yeah, that's fine. I don't mind that. And that explosion damage is the actual explosion, the original explosion without the shrapnel. So yeah, that's nice. We also increased the amount of shrapnel. Obviously, I literally just said that. I don't know why you put that as 2 points, but okay. Explosion radius increased by 33% from 17% on the inner radius and 50% on the outer radius. So yeah, that's pretty good. So it's the little explosion on the inside is 17% stronger, and it's 50% stronger when it spreads out. That is very nice. It's nice to see that getting a little bit of a reversion there. Actually, I say a lot of a reversion there. I do like the Eruptor. It is one of my favorites. Even though I'm an Incendiary player, I do like the Eruptor. The Defender, damage increased from 70 to 75. That's nice. Liberator, Penetrator. Damage increased from 45 to 60. That is very good. There. So we're on to the Diligence. Damage increased from 125 to 165, which is good. I really like that. Durable damage increase from 32 to 45, which is very, very nice. Counter Sniper Rifle. Damage increased from 140 to 200. That is very, very good. The Counter Sniper Rifle is an amazing headshot weapon. It's very underused because of how weak it is, but 200 damage, ooh, that opens up some options there. Durable damage increase from 14 to 50. Stagger force increase from 15 to 20, which is good. It's nice, but that won't really make a difference to the sniper rifle. Very few enemies will actually feel the difference there. But it's still nice that there is a little bit extra there, just in case, The Blitzer has one. Now has a weak stun effect that builds up per shot on its target. So the more times you hit a target, the more likely they are to be stunned, and the longer they will be stunned for. I am a very, very big fan of the Blitzer. I am a pro Blitzer player. I do like it. A lot of people hate it. I love it. It is a very, very good crowd control weapon. As long as you're patient, it is. So it's nice that the stun effect's been reduced, but it builds up over time. I love that. The Torture. Damage increased by 50%. Flame mechanics reverted to before the Escalation of Freedom update. In other words, they just removed the BS they added with that crap. Increased AP from 3 to 4. So that's armor penetration. So yeah, it's got a little bit more. That's fine. That's fine. So sidearms. Sorry, I'm going through this really fast. It's just there is a lot to go over. Sidearms. Peacemaker, increased max spare magazine from 5 to 6, so you get an extra one with that. That is all that's done with that one. The Dagger gains heat more slowly, removes recoil, damage increase from 200 to 250, sets enemy on fire, and adjustment to the heat visual effects as well, which is very nice. I do like the fact that they're trying to improve how weapons look and stuff like that. That was what they were talking about with the concepts of weapons. Like taking the existing weapons and just improving how they look, improving what they are. Very nice. It's very good to see that that's now coming into effect. Crisper, damage increased by 50%, which is very nice. I do like the Crisper. It should be a little bit more powerful than it is, but not too much more, because it is just a last resort, get out of my face flamethrower kind of thing, right? Again, they've reverted the flame mechanics back before the Escalation of Freedom, and it's got the increase of armor penetration from 3 to 4, which is nice. Now we have support weapons. Here we go. Grenade launcher, starting spare magazine increases from 1 to 2, so you will start with 2 magazines instead of 1, which has always been a weakness of the grenade launcher. Max spare magazines increase from 2 to 3, so you get an extra magazine at full capacity. Explosion radius slightly increased, which is good because it's always been a crowd clearing weapon. I like it. I like it. Laser cannon. Cooldown is slightly faster. I think you'll find that's going to be an running theme with energy weapons in this one. Removed recoil. Again, it's an energy weapon. There shouldn't be any recoil. Sets enemies on fire faster. Good. Love it. Can now damage heavier enemies like chargers, bile titans, impalers, and hulks, which you could do before, but it just took forever. It took a long time, and you had to hit it directly in the weak spots, or it just didn't work. Now you can just straight up damage them, which makes sense. It's supposed to be an energy-based, like anti-tank kind of weapon. Well, not anti-tank, but you know what I mean, anti-armor weapon. And they've also adjusted the heat visual effects as well on that. So that's very nice for you laser cannon users. I've never been a big fan of laser cannon, but that's mainly because I kind of suck at using it. So that's my own skill issue with that one. Arc thrower has got some love. Range increase from 35 to 55, which I believe is its original range, which is good. Now has a moderate stun effect that builds up on target. So just like the Blitzer, I presume all arc weapons are getting this. The more you hit them, the more they'll get stunned. So good. Jumps additional times, so it's more likely to jump from one enemy to another, and more of them at a time. Durable damage increase from 50 to 100. That is very good. That's basically pre debuff levels there, which is nice. Railgun, durable damage increased from 60 to 225, and fully overcharged damage increased from 150% to 250%. That is very good. The railgun has been feeling a little underpowered. It's nice it's getting a little buff on there. So that's good. The stalwart damage is increased from 60 to 70. That's fine. Durable damage increased from 14 to 17. Very nice. Stagger force increased from 10 to 15. Now, with the stalwart and the machine gun, the stagger effect does actually help a lot, especially when you're crowd clearing. And talking about that, machine gun literally just gets a staggering force increase from 15 to 20. It gets a higher staggering force because it's the first machine gun, so therefore it's weaker in general than the stalwart. Also, it takes forever to reload compared to the stalwart. The anti-material rifle, durable damage increase from 130 to 180, which is very, very good. Can now damage heavier enemies like chargers, bile titans, impalers, and hulks, which has always been something that's put me off of properly using the anti-material, is that I can never aim to its weak spots properly. I just want to be able to do damage. The thing's an anti-material rifle. Just let me do some damage. Maybe not full damage, but just let me do damage to it. That again, another skill issue. Stagger force increased from 20 to 25. Now that is very, very nice. That means you can stun an enemy and then load your next round and blow its face off, which is very good. Heavy machine gun. Stagger force increased from 20 to 25. Can now damage heavier enemies like chargers, bile titans, impalers, and hulks. So that is the heavy machine gun, which it should have been able to do to begin with. So there's a lot more options for the bigger enemies, for the more armored enemies, which is nice. Commando, demolition strength against structures has been reduced. It can no longer destroy automaton fabricators in a single shot. However, since the fabricators now have health bars, which we'll get into later on, it can still take them out with 2 shots. Flamethrower, damage increased by 33%, which is very, very nice. That has been very, very needed And of course, they have reverted the flame mechanics to before Escalation of Freedom update levels. Increase armor penetration from 3 to 4, which is very nice. It can now damage chargers, Bile Titans, Impalers, Hulks. You could still do that. It just took forever. There were certain instances where it would be virtually useless against them, but if you know, had enough time, you could kill them. But now you can kill them, which is very nice. And as I say, I'm an incendiary user, so any improvements to the flame mechanics is, ooh, I do like that. Autocannon can now damage heavier enemies like chargers, Bile Titans, Impalers, and Hulks, which is the only difference on there, which is fine because the autocannon is actually good the way it is. I could say maybe slightly more damage or at least a staggering effect on the rounds might help it a little bit, but they haven't added that. They've just said you can just straight up damage heavier enemies now, which is nice. It's fine. Grenades. Frag grenades. Shrapnel damage increased by roughly 50%. Max amount increased from 4 to 5, so you can carry an extra one. Refill increased from 2 to 3, so you refill faster. Explosion radius increased, which is very good. Thermite grenades, which I don't think anyone likes the thermite grenades because they take forever to explode, but yeah, it is what it is. Explosion damage increased from 100 to 2,000. Holy shit. That is stupid powerful. Okay, so you can basically, almost one-shot a Bile Titan with this thing? Dear God. I think that might be a typo. I don't believe it went from 100 to 2,000. That's insane. I'll have to fact check that, and then when I do the war bond on Thursday, I'll let you know if that's 100% correct on that one, because it says 2,000 here. That's insane. Shorter time until it ignites the thermite. Oh, that is desperately needed. I think it takes about 15 seconds normally before it explodes, and that's a lifetime. So anything shorter than that is good. Time until it explodes slightly reduced. Yep, you literally just said that. Oh, no, that's right. It goes through the burning thing first, and then it explodes. Yeah, no, that makes sense why it's 2 different points there. Sorry, I'm just still stunned about the whole 100 to 2,000 damage. Oh, Lord. Max number decreased from 4 to 3. Yeah, if it's 2,000, no wonder you're reducing how many of them you can throw. Yeah, but again, if you wear armor that increases your grenade amount, you'll also get more than 3. So you can now only carry 3 of them. That is insane. That one took me a little bit of a surprise there. Okay, now we're on to stratagems, and the 500k bomb has got some love. The explosion radius increased to match the visuals better. So normally you see the big boom, but the damage isn't the entire boom that you see. It's just the center part. It's now roughly the entire explosion that you see, roughly. It's not quite the whole thing, but it's basically the whole thing now, which is very nice. That's the only upgrade for that one. Eagle rockets, damage is slightly increased. It just says slightly increased. There's no number on that one, which is fine. I'm not really a fan of them. I don't find them that useful, but hey, that's just me. I play on the hardest difficulty, as you can see. So on lower difficulties, probably a lot better. Gatling Sentry, staggering force increased from 15 to 20, which is nice. I do like my sentries. I'm a very incendiary user with sentries as my backups on there. I really like that. Machine gun sentry, again, stagger force increased from 15 to 20. That's fine. Tesla tower, which nobody likes. Increased stagger force to match the arc thrower weapons, which makes sense. Now has a moderate stun effect that builds up per hit. Oh, now that might actually make it a little bit more useful. Like if you can pin an enemy in an area with that, and then just pummel it with damage, that would be pretty cool. So there might be actually some use for that Tesla tower. I mean, it'll still murder more Helldivers than actual enemies, but still. Heavy machine gun emplacement. Stagger force increased from 15. Stagger force increased from 20 to 25. Can now damage heavier enemies like Chargers, Bile Titans, Impalers, and Hulks. Very nice, very good. Patriot Exosuit. Gatling staggering force increased from 15 to 20, which is good. The Gatling has been feeling a little bit underwhelming lately, but then again, I'm on a higher difficulty. It could just be that. So the staggering force is a very welcomed boost there. The Emancipator Exosuit autocannon durability increase from 60 to 150. Rate of fire on weapons increased from 125 to 175. Ammo increased from 75 to 100 per arm. Orbital laser damage slightly increased. Straight to the point there. Orbital railgun damage slightly increased, which is fine because right now, well, before the update, it was taking 3 to 4 orbital strikes to kill a Bile Titan on Super Helldive. And now, hopefully, it's only 1 to 2. So that's because I haven't moved, so it was timing out. Sorry, game, but this is a big update and it's your fault. Orbital gas strike. We are reworking gas gameplay mechanics to become more crowd control focused in preparation for the chemical agent's war bond, which is nice. The gas effect will be reworked to cause blindness, confusion on enemies and Helldivers alike at the expense of reduced damage over time. There is also a little rumor going around that you might be able to ignite the gas and set everything on fire in there, but it doesn't say that here. So I can't confirm it, but it is a rumored thing, and it does sound like something that would be very, very nice to have. So that's good that the gas strike is getting some love and might get even more love soon. Now, for the bit that a lot of you are going to be very interested in, enemies. Automaton Fabricators. Automaton Fabricators now have health and armor in addition to their existing destruction system. That means they've still got the regular way they get destroyed, but they now have armor, they now have health, and that is to compensate for the new buffs to the armor penetrating weapons and stuff like that. This means that while many high armor penetration weapons can still destroy them, it may take multiple hits to do so, depending on the weapon used. Also added effects to clearer showcase the health state. So they've made it a little bit easier to see how much damage is actually being done to the thing. Now, on to Hulks. Armor reduced from 5 to 4, making them slightly weaker. This is just the regular Hulk. Back weak spot, slightly more durable, making it harder for you to get splash damage on it. So if you hit either side of it, or above it, or below it, sometimes you could trigger a detonation and explode it. Now you're going to have to actually hit the weak spot to actually damage it. Back weak spot health decreased from 1,000 to 800, and that is to help with that one-shotting it in the weak spot part. The Hulk Bruiser replaced the rocket launcher for an energy-based cannon. That is very nice. I do like that. I don't think they should have ever had rockets because they're already overpowered, and rockets just made them an absolute nightmare to deal with if you got caught by them. Increased how frequently the Hulk Bruiser shoots as well, which is fine. They got a new weapon. They're getting rid of the rockets, which, by the way, fired really, really fast. So it's only fair that it gets a little boost to its firepower. Well, not its firepower, but how fast it fires its firepower at you. The tank is getting some love. Front armor increased from 5 to 6, which is fine. You shouldn't be able to kill a tank from the front unless you're using a stratagem. So always hit it in either the sides, the back, or ideally its weak spot. Now, this one will make a lot of people happy. The Berserker. Head health reduced from 150 to 125, making it easier to shoot them in the head and kill them. Main health reduced from 1,000 to 750, which is really, really good because sometimes it feels like they're almost indestructible. Their center part is now the weak spot. So you can now, everyone always aims for the middle bit, that little thin bit between its legs and its chest. Hit in there. I've got a blocked nose right now, so I can't say abdomen properly, so bung up nose. It's just what it is. It's now its weak spot like it should have been all along, because that's where I always aim. And the chainsaws, of course, do more damage, because obviously if you're going to add a weakness, you got to give them something to counter that with. So that is nice. Now, on to Devastators, and I'm very happy with these upgrades. This is the normal Devastator. Main health reduced from 800 to 750, making them a little bit easier to kill. Devastators now flinch when hit, causing their aim to worsen, similar to the conscripts. The intent is to make them easier to manage if you keep applying damage. In other words, the more you hit them, the worse their aim's going to become, and they'll start like flinching and stuff like that. That's really nice. And especially if it's the rocket Devastators. Now has limited numbers of rockets, and you can see them disappear when they are spent. That's right. If you're looking down a scope, or you're close enough, you will see missing rockets in their rocket pods, because their rockets are now actual ammo. So once they fire them, they're gone. They've added a reload mechanic for their backpack to replenish their rockets once. That's right. They've got the original rockets that they're starting with. They'll fire them off, and then they will reload, which, again, it will take time for them to reload. But once they've fired those off, they have no more rockets. So that opens up a little bit more strategies when dealing with rocket Devastators, especially big groups of them. Rocket physics collision is smaller, making them easier to avoid. Yeah, so no more rockets flying just past your head, but exploding because the collision mesh has hit your head. They'll now just pass your head. So that's pretty good. The gunships have also got a limited amount of rockets. It doesn't say here whether they get a reload. I presume they would get the same feature as the rocket Devastators, where they'll have 2 sets, which is good. Because they fire rockets like a machine gun. It is crazy hard to dodge them, especially when there's a lot of them going around. So yeah, and of course, they get the same rocket physics. Collision is smaller, making them easier to avoid, which is really hard to do because gunships fire down on you. Chargers. Armor reduced from 5 to 4. This is just the regular charger. The butt weak spot health is decreased from 1,100 to 950, making it a lot easier to kill them from behind. Butt weak spot is slightly less durable, making it, again, easier to kill. The belly armor reduced from 4 to 2. I very rarely get to shoot them in the belly, so this is, I mean, it's nice, but at the same time, you know, although saying that, I guess if it runs over a mine or something, it does more damage now. A damage multiplier has been added to the charger. The charger's exposed flesh of the main body, now dealing 300% more damage. So basically, when their armor comes off and they've got that exposed part, if you fire into that, you're doing 300% more damage to it, because obviously there's no armor there, there's nothing protecting it. You should do a hell of a lot more damage. Now turn slightly slower when charging and moving normally. So instead of turning instantly on a dime, they now take time to actually turn around like they should do. They now charge less often on higher difficulties such as Super Hell Dive. There's so many chargers on screen. this is going to come in very, very helpful because you're not dodging like 4 chargers to then a 5th one just slam you through a wall because they're all charging at you at the same time. Charge damage increased by 50%. That makes sense. You've increased the damage to their exposed parts, so why not? Side attack damage increased by 50%. I'm not happy about that because side attack damage is what I mainly get killed by. So, yeah, that's just the regular charger. The charger behemoth. The weak spot health is decreased from 1,200 to 950, and that's the only thing that they've done with that. Hunters' health is reduced from 175 to 160, which is fine. Scavengers' health is reduced from 80 to 60. That is fine. Bile Titan. Armor reduced from 5 to 4. That's fine. Again, they were super hard to kill. We have reworked the Bile Titan's belly gameplay. Because I've been trying to murder it from just popping all the sacks underneath it, all its belly stuff. And I can personally never do. I normally have to just slam something into its face to get it to die. Belly armor reduced from 4 to 2, so this could help with that. Introducing a separate belly health pool once the outer belly layer has been destroyed. So instead of just destroying the belly outright, you'll then have to go through a second health bar on it, which should be weaker than the first one, so that's fine. So it's like an armor layer, and then it's the actual fleshy bit, which is good. Destroying exposed belly health pool kills the Bile Titan. So once all the belly parts are dead, it should die after that, which makes sense, because if you don't have your organs, how can you still be alive? The Impaler. Armor reduced from 5 to 4, which is fine. Previously, the Impaler could only retract its tentacles once during its entire lifetime when threatened. Now it can do so several times. I don't know how true that is because I've seen Impalers retract their tentacles a lot. So I don't know about that. But hey, I guess it could do it more now. Its tentacles pursue you over a shorter distance from the Impaler and prioritize players nearer to the Impaler. So if you're a sniper and you're way off the distance, the Impaler should not come after you because you're too far away. But if you're a shotgun guy up close, like tickling its nipples, you're going to be the one it's going to be targeting you. So if the Impaler can't see an enemy, it will retract its tentacles for a brief period of time instead of just it knows where you're at all times and therefore never retracts its tentacles. The Impaler tentacles themselves have also had a little bit of tweaking. Tentacle damage is increased, which is fun, I guess. Reduced camera shake of the tentacles attack. That's never really bothered me, that one. But it's nice for those of you who don't like the shake. Tentacles require less damage to inflict on them to retract. Personally, I ignore the tentacles and I just go for the Impaler's weak spot itself, because once it's dead, its tentacles are dead. So, 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing. Okay. There is more. I did warn you, there's a lot here. Planets and modifiers. The intense heat and extreme cold modifiers are no longer static throughout the entire mission, and may now change based on the time of day and different weather conditions, which is nice. It'll make the matches feel like something is actually happening in the world around you. Some desert planets will now only have intense heat modifier during the day. This means during the night, the planet will either have no modifier or, in some cases, extreme cold modifier. Just like in real life, deserts can freeze overnight because it's super cold. That's fine. That's perfect. I love it. Arid planets, similar to Hellmire planet, will now only have intense heat modifier active during fire tornado storms. that is actually pretty cool. So when the fire tornadoes have died down, it should go back to just regular weather. Thank you for being patient and sticking with me this long. That will be what I'm covering. The rest of it is literally just crash issues. Basically, every version of the crash issue that you can think of is basically fixed or being fixed, is what it said. If I go through every single one individually, this episode will be literally an hour and a half to 2 hours long. It is insane. But yeah, I'm scrolling through them. It literally just says crash fixes on literally everything. So whatever your crash issue is, there's probably either been an issue resolved for it or it is being resolved. So yeah, sorry this is a long ass episode, especially for an update, but this is the biggest update I think this game's ever had. It is, well, I mean, you've got this far into the video, you know how long it is. And sorry, it isn't my usual like quirkiness through this. It's just there was so much to go through. And thank you for being patient with me. And I will see you on Thursday for the actual War Bond review, which will not be anywhere close to this long. Bye-bye.